Yeah, Ronnie-Ward from the Ditmas Park section of the Flatbush neighborhood, Brooklyn, in the city of New York, the state of New York, United States. Well, here's Alice, English or French. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's the official website of Alice, the palace where Macron lives. I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Well, let me see down at the bottom. It says La Maison Alice, Musée, Café, Art de Vivre. Shop. You can go shopping. Boutique officielle. I swear to God. Follow the presidency? Follow the presidency. Is this how you follow Macron? I don't know. Useful links. Accessibility statement. Privacy policy, legal, managing cookies, sitemap. Yeah. Official links. Let's see. Servicepublic.gouv.fr, legifrance.gouv.fr, info.gouv.fr, data.gouv.fr, france.fr. Oh, this is the official, this must be an official website of LSA. Manuel Macron. It must be. Well, isn't that nice? How great is that? Isn't that wonderful? Here's Manuel Macron. Yeah, his official web page. He's responsible for everything that's on here. He is. He's the publisher of it. He owns it. Everything on here. He does. Uh-huh. Yeah, he does. Uh-huh. Yeah. Meeting in Washington alongside President Zelensky. Posted on the 19th day of August 2025. Well, that's the day after the big meeting of the table in Washington on the 18th of August. It is. Yeah, let's see what he has to say. Let's see how Emmanuel Macron, the president of the Republic, presents himself through his official website. Yeah. Here's Emmanuel Macron. The President of the Republic traveled to Washington alongside President Zelensky and several European leaders on Monday, August 18th. Well, you know who his ally is now? Alongside Zelensky. Yeah, he loves Zelensky. Macron does. Absolutely. Just look at what he said. Yeah, oh, here he is. Yeah, Emmanuel. Emmanuel Macron on X. At Emmanuel Macron. C'est notre sécurité qui c'est you. Hi, Emmanuel. How you doing, buddy? How's liberty doing in the Republic? Watch on X. Oh my God, watch on X. Let's see what it's the first thing up here. Watch on X. The 19th. 5:20 a.m. on August 19th, 2025. This was posted to X on his official page. Emmanuel, let's see what he has to say. There he is.
Nous avons un accord, nous voulons la paix. C'est ce qui nous unit. Aujourd'hui, la Russie ne donne aucun signal de vouloir sincèrement la paix. Et l'expérience que nous avons sur les 15 dernières années du président Poutine dans son approche, c'est qu'à chaque fois qu'il pense qu'il peut gagner par la guerre, il ne négocie pas la paix. C'est ça la règle. Vous avez un président américain, des présidents européens, un président ukrainien qui veulent la paix. J'ai, pour ma part, les plus grands doutes.
Oh, did you see Zelensky looking right at the camera?
Aussi longtemps qu'il pense qu'il peut gagner par la guerre, il le fera. Et donc nous, notre objectif, c'est ça, d'avoir la paix le plus vite possible, donc d'avoir le moins de pertes territoriales pour l'Ukraine possible, d'avoir une Ukraine qui a choisi l'Europe, de pouvoir continuer à choisir l'Europe librement, et de garantir la sécurité de l'Ukraine aujourd'hui, demain, et pour nous, Européens, parce que c'est notre sécurité qui se joue.
Well, I don't need to know French to know what he just said. No, I don't. I don't need to know French. No. Yeah. 2.9 thousand replies to what he posted at 5:20 a.m. on August 19th. Yeah, here we go. In his own words, the aim, why he was there, the aim, what his purpose was to be there on the 18th. Yeah. The aim was to continue coordination efforts between the Europeans and the United States. Yeah, the Europeans. You're all Europeans to him. And the United States. Yeah, that's what he thinks of y'all. Just Europeans. Yeah. In order to achieve a just and lasting peace that safeguards Ukraine and its vital interest and Europe's security. That's why he went. That's what he's all about every day. What it says right there. That's the lead paragraph. Yeah. This meeting took place at the White House in the presence of President Macron, President Trump, President Zelensky, President Stubb of Finland, Prime Minister Meloni, Prime Minister Starmer, Prime Minister Meloni of Italy, Prime Minister Starmer of United Kingdom, Chancellor Merz of Germany, the European Commission President. Well, her name is Ursula von der Leyen, not just von der Leyen. And NATO General Secretary Rutte. He can't even put their whole names down. Watch the president's opening remarks. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Tantas las personas a tour de cette table sont pour la pax. Yeah, there you go. There it is. Yeah, I was talking about this big meeting. I was. Let's see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen. Oh, it's embedded. That's great.
Thank you, Mr. President, for organizing this.
Merci, Monsieur le Président, d'avoir organisé cette réunion. Merci de votre engagement. Tout a déjà été dit. Et je voudrais simplement ajouter que toutes les personnes autour de la table aujourd'hui sont pour la paix. Et nous avons déjà beaucoup travaillé au cours des 3 dernières années pour arriver à obtenir une paix robuste et durable. C'est la raison pour laquelle l'idée d'une réunion trilatérale est essentielle, parce que c'est la seule manière d'arriver à ce résultat.
The White House, 3:09 p.m.
Une réunion trilatérale, parce que lorsque l'on parle de garantie de sécurité, il s'agit de la sécurité de l'ensemble du continent européen.
NBC News.
Notre présence ici aujourd'hui, afin de pouvoir organiser une telle réunion trilatérale, il faudra demander une trêve, un cessez-le-feu, enfin en tout cas que les tueries s'arrêtent. C'est essentiel et nous sommes tous d'accord sur ce point. Et pour qu'il y ait une paix durable pour l'Ukraine et pour l'ensemble du continent, il nous faut des garanties de sécurité. La première étant bien entendu une armée ukrainienne crédible.
That's the back of the head of Volodymyr Zelensky. No, yeah, that's Zelensky's head, I think.
Chacune d'entre nous, au cours des 3 derniers mois, nous avons beaucoup travaillé au sein de la coalition des volontaires avec l'appui de l'OTAN afin de construire les différents piliers des garanties de sécurité et notre engagement. Et il est évident que les Européens sont très lucides. Ils vont faire leur part pour ces garanties de sécurité, puisque leur sécurité est aussi en jeu. Vous pouvez compter sur nous, tout comme nous comptons sur vous, afin d'arriver à mettre en place cette paix robuste pour l'Ukraine et l'Europe.
Okay, all right. At the conclusion of the discussions, the head of state, meaning Emmanuel Macron, so he's the President of France, and he's the head of state of France, answered questions from the journalist. Watch the president's statement. Oh, this is the statement. I don't know. Where's he at? Oh, it looks like he's at Elysee. Yeah, this must be on the 19th, I guess. We'll find out. Yeah. Déclaration du président depuis Washington sur la situation in Ukraine. He thinks the whole meeting he thinks that Donald Trump invited all these people to the White House because he cares about Ukraine or something. Are you kidding me? No. Donald Trump invited everybody because he cares about the United States. That's it. Oh my God, here we go. Statement by President from Elysee. Elysee.
Je pense qu'en tout cas, cette journée est importante et elle marquera de manière certaine le cours de l'évolution de ce conflit. D'abord par sa configuration inédite, parce que nous nous sommes retrouvés donc avec le président Trump, le président Zelensky et plusieurs dirigeants européens, avec la présidente de la Commission et le secrétaire général
What's that little pin he has on his
à la
lapel?
Maison Blanche pour parler de la suite. Tous, nous avons un accord, nous voulons la paix.
Nice little flowers over there, fresh cut and
Nous
everything.
avons agréé plusieurs lignes qui sont importantes et qui n'étaient pas aussi claires, je dois dire, il y a quelques jours ou quelques semaines. La première, pour moi, la plus importante, c'est l'engagement américain de travailler avec nous sur les garanties de sécurité. En février, lorsque j'ai réuni plusieurs leaders européens autour du président Zelensky, au moment où un doute naissait, où on avait l'impression que la paix pourrait être bradée, afin de construire justement ces garanties de sécurité, le chemin était long. On a bâti cette coalition des volontaires depuis février. Elle réunit maintenant 30 pays et il a été acté aujourd'hui que nous allons travailler avec les États-Unis d'Amérique sur le contenu de ces garanties de sécurité et les coopérations que les uns et les autres sont prêts à apporter. J'ai pu d'ailleurs revenir cet après-midi sur le contenu de ces garanties de sécurité qui sont une armée ukraine robuste, qui puisse résister à toute tentative d'attaque et qui la dissuade, et donc pas de limitation en nombre, en capacité, en armement, etc. Et puis ce sont aussi des forces de réassurance en mer, dans les airs et sur terre que les alliés sont prêts à apporter à l'Ukraine, et donc ce sont des choses concrètes, robustes, solides. Ça, c'est le premier point qui a été acté aujourd'hui, et un processus qui est lancé et qui va dès demain commencer et qui sera conduit par nos conseillers diplomatiques, conseillers à la sécurité, et par nos chefs d'état-major, les chefs d'état-major de nos armées. Tout ce travail a déjà été préparé, vous le savez, sous la coordination des chefs d'état-major britanniques et français. Et nous l'avions présenté en juillet entre nous. Le deuxième élément, c'est le principe d'une série de rencontres. Et la nécessité que les tueries cessent pour ces rencontres. Appelons-le trêve ou cessez-le-feu, mais on ne peut pas discuter sous les bombes. Ça a été confirmé par tous. Et à l'issue de notre première réunion,
I don't know how long it is. It looks awful long to
le
me.
président Trump, et il a été acté qu'il y avait d'abord la volonté de bâtir une séquence bilatérale entre le président, une volonté aussi humanitaire d'arrêter les tueries et d'arrêter.
That's enough of that. It's all in French. Yeah. Statement to the press, 18 August, by Emmanuel Macron, President of the Republic, in Washington. So he was interviewed in Washington. Yeah, I was in the district. Question. Good evening, Mr. President. There were high expectations for today. Did it produce the results you hoped for? Emmanuel Macron, while he's in Washington, standing there afterwards, I think it was an important day. In any case, it will certainly have an effect on the evolution of this conflict, particularly because of the unprecedented configuration of this meeting, which brought together President Trump, President Zelensky, and several leaders, as well as the president of they had to add in EU. He just said president of the Commission. Well, they put in EU. Ursula von der Leyen and the NATO General Secretary to the White House to discuss the next steps to take. We all agree that we want peace. That's what unites us, a desire for peace. We agreed on several important courses of action that had been less clear a few days or weeks ago. He just said nothing but said everything. Yeah. Zelensky might as well be Ho Chi Minh. I'm so sick of Macron and France and the people of France and their old bullshit. I'm sick of it. We had to fight him to get into Africa and Morocco for World War II and defeat him. Then we had to fight him on D-Day to get into France. We had to fight the French too. I'm sick of fighting the French. I am tired of it. They're defeated already. We've already beat them so many times. They ought to just sit down and they ought to unconditionally surrender. They ought to. Look at how long this is. Look at how long this is. All of this. The first, all this. The second point. Lastly, yeah, I'm not going to do it all. In what time frame could these bilateral, he suggested bilateral, trilateral, and quadrilateral meetings. Bilateral, trilateral, and quadrilateral. Well, I say a table of 7, the big 7. We're not having meetings. No, we're not. No, they'll be in Washington. People of Europe, leaders can drag their ass to Washington to have the big 7 to tell them what they're going to do. We're done with diplomacy. As soon as possible. The intention is for the bilateral meeting to be in the next few days. That didn't happen. No, it's now February 2026. This was August. Nothing's happened. We said that in the next 2 or 3 weeks, we should be able to hold the trilateral meeting and that things will snap into place. In any case, our intention is to end the conflict as soon as possible. Well, as soon as possible. That's no goal. Yeah, well, here we go. I'm not going to read all this. You got the point already. This is Emmanuel Macron in his own official words and statement from the Palace of Élysée. Yeah, it is. No filter here. None. He's accountable for all of these words. This is his official position. He can't deny this. It's on his own website. He publishes this. He's responsible. This is his true intentions. On the formats of the meetings to be held, the bilateral, trilateral, quadrilateral, yeah, all that, to be held. First of all, the bilateral one between President Zelensky and President Putin. Isn't this meeting risky? That's the question. You repeated in Braguillon yesterday that you thought President Putin wants war. What makes you think today that the meeting can have a positive outcome? And when you say a 2-way meeting, then a 3-way meeting, where do the Europeans fit into this format? I guess the trilateral meeting is supposed to be him, Zelensky, and I have no idea. The Europeans. Yeah, the Europeans. Just the Europeans. That's everybody else. Yeah, just everybody else. Yeah. Yes, but we are doing it sequentially, and it's entirely logical. Why we're starting from nothing like French logic to help you understand. We're starting from a situation where neither Ukraine nor Europe was at the table. The meeting. the Anchorage Summit in Alaska. Now we're saying there's a desire, at any rate, to discuss the underlying problems. There hasn't really been a Russian-Ukraine meeting since the series of meetings that were held in Istanbul in the spring of 2022. So it's a step forward. And I can't preempt these results. Do I think they can be conclusive? I'm remaining very cautious. He just said he's for violence and war. Next, it should be followed by a meeting with the Americans. That's the principle we endorsed before Alaska. What did he endorse before Alaska? I guess him and Zelensky are working hand in glove. I guess he's a mouthpiece for Zelensky, I guess. I don't know. Oh, you Europeans. You poor Europeans. We're so superior here in Paris. You know, Emmanuel, he's so smart and logical. You just need some good French logic. Like the Americans who got tortured in Hanoi. Yeah. Wait, he's got a special torture place for you all. It's in Hanoi. Uh-huh. Oh, God, I tell you what. Because we Europeans need, first of all, to be at the table. Because we're the suppliers of security guarantees for Ukraine in the future. And that's how we conceived it. It's also two European countries, the United Kingdom and France, that have been promoting this initiative since February. But I didn't think that United Kingdom considered themselves to be European. They're not Europeans. No. People who live in the United Kingdom, they're British. They're not Europeans. For God's sakes, go to London and say, what do you call them Europeans? Oh my God. Don't work. No, it doesn't. No, what else does he say? Oh, he says that him and Starmer have been promoting this since February of, I'm not sure which. European security is at stake. Because unless we can properly contain Russia's army, Russia's power, its ballistic and nuclear capability, but also the volume of its army today, which I remind you is 1.3 million strong, it's our security that will be directly concerned. Yeah, I can't believe it. I mean, really. You can look it up later. I've read enough, right? Let's just do it. Following the meeting in Alaska. Yeah, following the meeting in Alaska, Donald Trump has seemed to stop making the ceasefire a precondition to a peace agreement and has started to emphasize a peace agreement. Do you get the feeling that your discussions today, that you've brought him back round to your interpretation of the issue? That Emmanuel Macron has brought Donald Trump towards his logic. Are you kidding me? Are you joking me? No, well, we're not going to reverse roles. We Europeans have always said we want a robust, sustainable peace agreement. It was the United States of America that asked for a ceasefire in February. Our fear was that it would not be followed by a lasting peace, and so that's why we said security agreements. Ukraine agreed to the principle of a ceasefire. Since March, it's been Russia that has rejected it. What happened in Anchorage? Russia said once again, we reject a ceasefire. No, I don't. I watched the official readout. They didn't say that. No, just more lies and manipulation and misstatements, scheming and conniving and lying and twisting. That's the only logic Macron understands, the French logic. It's stupid. It's dumb as rocks. Rocks are smarter than this. Yeah, at least they serve a useful purpose. President Putin has repeated it to we're all reiterated to him that you can't discuss a peace treaty, which after all takes several days or even several weeks while bombs are falling. And he himself has also expressed several times a humanitarian desire to stop the killing and stop what's happening against civilians. And so in this regard, there was also a need precisely to have a truce. Oh, do I need to go any farther? Do I? Do I need to say any more? Right here's his own words. This is obfuscation, mumbo jumbo, a justification for him to continue his secret support of Zelensky to murder his own people in his own country, and his undermining of all of Europe, and him stabbing us in the back more. That's all they know how to do after torturing us in Hanoi with the French there in the 70s and the Hanoi Hilton and all that stuff. Yeah, it's time for France to be done. Yeah, we're sick of it. They're all over now. This really cinches the thing in, doesn't it? Yeah. What does that mean about the United States contribution? Emmanuel Macron. Well, I can't answer that because we're starting the work tomorrow. Everything starts all over with him constantly. Like he has no memory. There's no continuity of anything because he doesn't ever keep a single promise or make a promise. He has no integrity. Not good character. At all. Zero. What are you expecting? That the United States will do everything it can because it will help us lighten the European load. And that the United States will provide their guarantee as well, because that was the big question for many European colleagues, because this discussion actually began in February 2024 in Paris, when I said that we should recreate strategic ambiguity. What do you mean, recreate strategic ambiguity? That means a subterfuge. That means being dishonest. That means like camouflage. That means secrecy and secret agreements and treaties and promises that you made internally. Yeah, he's spilling his guts here. Secret deals again. The same problem. He likes war and violence and killing and selling arms and everything. Yeah, well... And Europe loves it. Therefore, we started the discussion well before the coalition of the willing, and the stumbling block for many partners was knowing what the Americans would do. The coalition of the willing, those who are coalesced together and willing to let the murderous Zelensky continue his work in Ukraine of killing Ukrainians. Have we forgot about the mass exodus of Ukrainians who left, flooded Europe? Right after February 22nd, 2022, lined up at the border with Poland in buses and everything, escaping Ukraine? Those who could get out, got out. Many of them came to the United States even. Yeah, what did they come here for? To terrorize us? What did you all do with all those people? Did you put them up in Europe somewhere? All the Ukrainian refugees who got out right away. What happened to the ones that got left behind that couldn't get out? What about those people? What kind of humanitarian aid is European set up? Why aren't you on the inside of Ukraine doing hospitals and all kinds of stuff? Humanitarian, why aren't you? Because you already know what's going on. The systematic murder and death of people inside Ukraine. Yeah, just like you're all used to. It's the mass ascent, mass participation of mass death in the borders of Ukraine. You got fresh blood all over your hands again, Europe. You do. You're used to it. Well, you're not going to get away with it this time. No. Not this time, you're not. No, game up, game over. No, you're caught now. Because I'm a witness to it, and I'm making all these videos. And I'm going to do something about it. I can, and I will. Yeah, you can't stop me. You can't stop any of this. No. You can't stop Donald Trump. No, you can't. You still don't know what he's going to do. I know better what he's going to do than you ever possibly could. And it's really ugly, okay? But because it was important to know if the Americans were committed to this, no, we're not. No, we're not. The Americans clearly showed their readiness. No, we didn't. We still haven't. No, he doesn't know. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. He doesn't care what he knows. He doesn't participate in good faith negotiations either. He's running his own private agenda. Yeah, it's really scary that Sturmer, Macron, and Friedrich Merz talked about the coalition of the willing together. I'm not surprised about Sturmer, but we'll see how it goes. We didn't talk about that at all today, and for two reasons. Firstly, because we said the priority is security guarantees. Secondly, we said it must be discussed bilaterally and trilaterally. Who the hell is he to talk for everybody else? See how he does, everybody? Stabs you all in the back, too. Yeah. We also gave an exclusive interview to Darius Rochabin for TF1-LCI. Watch the interview. That's all going to be in French, I guess. Yeah. Here we go. Oh, here's great. Talk about propaganda.
Monsieur le Président, bonsoir.
Bonsoir.
Une accélération de l'histoire a lieu cette semaine. Ici à Washington, vous êtes venu défendre les intérêts de l'Europe face à Vladimir Poutine d'abord. Quel est l'engagement précis que les puissances peuvent prendre pour dire tu es allé jusque-là, et cette fois, tu n'iras pas plus loin?
C'est tout l'enjeu.
C'est
tout l'enjeu au fond depuis le début.
That's enough. At least it's on here. As well as an interview with Kristen Welker for NBC. Oh, this might be in English. Kristen Welker? Kristen Welker was Sommet à Washington sur la Ukraine, interview du President sur NBC. Kristen Welker. Okay, what's Kristen been up to?
President Macron, thank you for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm very happy to have the opportunity to speak with you.
We are honored to have you here to speak with us. Mr. President, take me inside your meeting at the White House today, those high-stakes talks. Are you now closer to reaching a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine?
Look, I do hope, and I really believe it was an important meeting at the White House this 18th of August with President Zelensky, President Trump, and a series of European leaders here. All of us, we want peace. All of us. From day one.
So he's in Washington. Listen to what he's saying. This is Kristen Welker of NBC. She's a very powerful anchor here. She is.
And this is very important. Second, all of us are very clear that we want to stop the killings as soon as possible. You can call it a ceasefire, you can call it a truce, an armistice, but we want to stop these killings.
As soon as possible is not a goal. It's like saying, how much money do you want to raise? As much as possible? You can't raise as much as possible. Well, we would like to raise $100,000. We want peace in Yeah, Ho Chi Minh. He is Ho Chi Minh now. He is Zelensky. He's now a murderous person just like Ho Chi Minh and Zelensky is. He's murderous. Yeah, he is. Because he's a spokesperson for it and has put it on himself. He's a murdering butcher. He is. Absolutely, he is. He is. He's at the top of the heap of military forces of his country, answerable to no one. Yeah, talk about a dictator. He can launch the nuclear weapons of France, I guess. He's a murderous butcher, a killer. He is.
Number 3, all of us, we are clear about the fact that we want a robust and long-standing peace, which means no peace without what we call security guarantees. Why? Because we want to preserve Ukraine.
He has no actionable idea even how to do it. No concrete steps or anything, because he doesn't care. Let the killing continue. It's better for him. He don't care about life, about anybody's life except his own. He doesn't even care about the lives of people in France. No, the Prime Minister of France deals with all of the domestic stuff. That's how it's set up. He's a military commander, killing people, in league with Zelensky, and carries with him the stain of Ho Chi Minh and everything happened in Vietnam under de Gaulle, too. Yeah, he is. He's a war criminal. He is. He should be arrested and detained. Yeah, he should be. Maybe the next time he comes to Washington, if he ever does, we'll just nab him and keep him and lock him up. Well, maybe we'll go arrest him like we snatched out Maduro. That whole operation with Maduro proved one thing. We can snatch out any leader of Europe anytime we want to. Boom, snatched. Yeah, we can. Plus, we have tens of thousands of troops on the ground over there. Yeah, we have very powerful weapons that you haven't even seen, probably. Yeah, it's coming. Trump is not going to put up with this much longer. Now his patience is about ran out.
From risk of new aggression after this peace, and we want to contain Russia as an aggressive power vis-à-vis the rest of Europe. Here are our objectives, and I think we did progress because we converge, all of us, first to work.
He's Napoleon Bonaparte, the Imperial Caesar, marching all the way from France to Moscow. Back. Yes! Viva la France, Napoleon Bonaparte! France rules the world! The Empire of France! Oh, God. I have to laugh. But it's serious.
Work very actively on security guarantees. So from tomorrow we will work very actively. And, we launched in February this year.
Look at Kirsten Welker. She's shocked.
And we co-share with...
she can't believe what she's listening to.
And this coalition will work very actively now with the United States of America, which is a great news, in order to provide, the day we have a peace agreement, these security guarantees together.
She's shocked. She can't believe what he's saying. I watch her all the time.
Between President Zelensky and President Putin will be organized, and this is the clear outcome of the discussion at the end of our meeting between President Trump and President Putin. And this bilateral meeting will be followed by a trilateral meeting between President Zelensky, President Trump, President Putin. And I proposed as well, as a follow-up, that we enlarge and have a multilateral meeting, because the Europeans, probably the Turks as well, and some others have to be around the table, because we don't just speak about the security of Ukraine, but the security of the whole Europe. So on all these points, we had a clear convergence. And for me, it was very important today, after the meeting between President Trump and President Putin in Alaska, to have this clear convergence of Europe and Ukraine and the US on these key outcomes.
I want to delve into all of those issues. I do have to ask you, President Trump was overheard on a microphone talking.
He is a delusional, maniacal, grandiose master planner of the universe. All those things he just said, there's no agreements on any of that. He is maniacal. With nuclear weapons. There's no agreements on anything he just said, but he don't give a damn. Nah, he's just pushing his own private agenda. That's what he just did.
Talking to you, and he said, quote, I think he wants to make a deal, meaning Putin. I think he wants to make a deal for me. You understand that? As crazy as it sounds. What went through your head when he said that to you?
I think if, at the end of the day, if we have a deal which is compliant with this long-standing and robust peace, this is a great news. And your president indeed is very confident about the capacity he has to get this deal done, which is a good news for all of us and can break this, I would say, this daily killings, which are the responsibility of the Russian aggressor. So I think it's a great news. My point, and this is why
the responsibility of what?
The past few months, and we need this convergence, is to be sure that this deal is not detrimental to Ukraine and Europe. And we, all of us, we want a deal and we want a peace deal. But we want to make sure that this peace, and so this deal, will be something which will allow the Ukrainians to recover the country and live in peace, to be sure that day after this peace deal that they will have sufficient deterrence power not to be attacked again, and to be sure for the Europeans that they will live in peace and security. So this is...
No. The Europeans stirred up the violence in Europe by backing Zelensky against the United States and Russia. They caused the problem on purpose. They're responsible for the death in Ukraine. Not really Zelensky. He's just the instrumentality of it. Yeah, that's how it is.
This is the nature of the peace, which will be now the core of our work. But I think this is a great news, and indeed your president is very confident about his capacity to get this deal done with President Putin, and it's great.
Let's talk about the issues. You were very firm. You still think a ceasefire is necessary. President Trump, on his way to Alaska, said that he wanted there to be a ceasefire agreement. Otherwise, he said there would be very severe consequences. Do you think a ceasefire is still possible?
I do hope. Let's call it once again truce or ceasefire. But we have to stop the killings. First, for humanitarian reasons. Second, because if we want...
Wasn't he simply tell his buddy, Zelensky, lay down your arms, Zelensky, stop fighting? Why not? That's the quickest way to get to a peace conversation. Isn't it? It would be, wouldn't it? He's thick as thick with Zelensky. The Europeans are. Why don't they just say, hey, time to put down the weapons? No, they're trying to sell him more weapons. This is beautiful.
I want sincere, reasonable, comprehensive talks in order to build a peace. You cannot organize this discussion, in the middle of the bombs. Look, today we were with President Zelensky. President Trump called President Putin at the end of our meeting, and we meet again right after this call. In the meantime, the Russian army organized a series of strikes on civilians in Ukraine. So it's impossible for an Ukrainian president and Ukrainian officials to have talks about peace as their country is being destroyed and as their civilians are being killed.
Did you, all of the European leaders, press President Trump on that point today and insist that he continue to apply pressure to Putin for a ceasefire right now?
I will be very clear on that. President Trump was the first one to propose a ceasefire in February. In March, President Zelensky accepted the unconditional ceasefire in Doha.
No, he didn't. Zelensky didn't do anything. No, he didn't. He hasn't stopped shooting and killing his own citizens. He's not stopped murdering his own people, the ones who couldn't get out a year ago, 4 years ago now. It's now the 24th day of February, 2026. Let's roll the tape. Starting 4 years ago on February 24th, 2022. And now let's look at all the days after that and all the millions of people streaming out of Ukraine flooding into Europe to get away from the violence. Why don't we start tracking that now? We can. I can do that little project for the next several days. Go back and replay everything every day and say 4 years ago today, this is what was happening, to show what hypocrisy it is and what a machine of mass assent, mass participation, mass death that Europe's recreated once again for itself.
The one who always refused the ceasefire has been President Putin.
So should President Trump impose sanctions on President Putin now?
And President Trump was very clear on the fact that after Alaska, his perspective is not just to have a ceasefire, but a peace deal, which is much more comprehensive. So it could be a good news, but it's clear that a peace deal will not be written overnight. It will take time, probably a few days, few weeks. And during this period of time, we need a truce. This is why I call it a truce, and not a ceasefire, if we want to use a different word. But we have to stop the killings. So we all agree with your president that we have to increase the pressure to stop the killings and to launch a process to have a full-fledged peace agreement. So this is our objective.
Can he do that? Can you apply pressure to Putin without imposing
I'm very much
sanctions?
in favor of the fact that if at the end of the day there is no serious progress during the bilateral, or if there is a refusal of the trilateral meeting, and or if the Russians don't comply with this approach, yes, we have to increase the sanctions, secondary and primary sanctions, in order to increase the pressure on the Russians to do so. And sometimes I'm very shocked.
That was last August, September, October, November, December, January, February. That's 6 months ago. If it was possible for any sanctions of any kind that Europe's doing to stop Russia in any way or Putin, can't do it. Doesn't work. Still doesn't work. And it's not ever going to work. Maybe they'll stop providing bombs and weapons for Zelensky to shoot into Russia. Maybe he'll take the French mercenaries out of Ukraine. He has members of the French Foreign Legion in Ukraine, presiding over the murderous killing of people and the bombing of people and the launching of bombs into Russia. He does under French Foreign Legion. Yeah, he's commanding those people. Oh, they're in Ukraine. Mercenaries. His mercenaries. They don't have a standing army. They have the French Foreign Legion. It's a collection of mercenaries.
By, I have to say, the fact that a lot of people can present something as just a war between two sides. There is an aggressor, which is Russia. There is a country which decided to kill people, to steal children, and who refused this ceasefire and peace. So we cannot just create an equivalent situation between Ukraine and Russia.
We had to fight France in World War II to get onto Morocco and defeat them and drive them out. Before we engaged the Germans, we had to fight the French on D-Day to get a beachhead that they were shooting and killing us again there and defeat them. And then Eisenhower signed the unconditional surrender in Reims, France. I'm sick of fighting the French. I'm sick of them terrorizing us. I'm sick of their French propaganda. I'm sick of his Foreign Legion personnel in league with Zelensky during the Biden administration being in this country, causing mischief and terrorizing people. Terrorists through Canada coming in here. No, that's true, what I just said. It's exactly true. It's exactly true. On our own country during Biden's administration. France and Zelensky, Macron and Zelensky, through Sturmer into Canada, were sending terrorists into our country. Bombing and murdering and torturing people and killing them and setting fires and all kinds of stuff. In the United States proper. They were. There's some of them still here. Remember, the largest diaspora of Ukraine is in Canada, created by Churchill. The White Russians is what they're called, who were smuggled out during the end of World War II through London and settled into Canada. They're all loyal to the regime, right setting up above us. They terrorized us during Biden's administration. And Biden let him do it. Didn't stop it. Zelensky, during Biden, was over here at munitions plants in Pennsylvania signing bombs with his name on them at our munition plants. He was here. His ambassador to the United States, Marorakova, whatever that woman is, she was given a place of honor during one of Biden's addresses. Yeah, she was traveling all over the United States, the ambassador, threatening and strong-arming governors and people. Support Ukraine. Ambassadors aren't supposed to travel around the country. They're supposed to stay in Washington. That's right. That's right. The Ukrainian Wehrmacht. Let's don't forget who the White Russians really are. They're former SS Wehrmacht. That's what they are. They're fascists. Exactly what they are. And they know it in Europe. That's exactly what they are. Banderas. The OANB. Yeah, look them up, Europe. OANB. Look him up. Banderas. That's who they are. I know who they are. I know how ruthless they are. It's well documented. That's a new project for me. I'll start it today. Just shoot a few videos of back in the past of what was going on every day. Yeah, might as well.
Let me ask you about the discussion over security guarantees.
Yes.
What exactly did you agree to as it relates to security guarantees? Does that mean
the official website? At least, I'll say it.
Look, I think it's for me it's a very important progress of the past few days that your president expressed a clear commitment of the U.S. to be part of the security guarantee. This is brand new. And last February, when I took the responsibility to gather a series of European leaders with President Zelensky in Paris, and we followed up in London, and we created this coalition of the willing. And it was a reaction.
That's good to know. Sturmer welcomed him, Zelensky, and others to London to plot against America, to make the coalition of the willing to commit genocide and continue the lie against us, against Russia, our ally, forever. I'm glad he admitted it. That's good. Oh, it's easy to find that meeting. I remember it. It's just great for him to be admitting it. Yeah, there's the little roadmap right there in his own words. It's so easy for me now, because I've been watching this for 1,460 days plus one, plus the 7th to the 28th. Oh, that's 21 days plus 24 days. That's 45 days. 4 years. 4 years plus a day for leap year plus 45 more days today. 1945. 7th of May, 1945. The numbers work.
To the feeling we had that we could see a temptation to go to a rapid peace, but without any guarantee for Ukraine. And we know what it means. It was Georgia 2008, but it was as well Crimea 2014.
This must be the French embassy.
Full certainty that if
This must be the French embassy in Washington. I think Donald Trump needs to order all diplomats of France and Europe out of Washington. Yeah, start with France. Order them all to leave. The ambassador, too. Throw them out. Ukraine, too, and everybody. All of Europe. Throw out the European Union ambassadors. Ship them all out. Tell them all gotta leave. Shut down the consulates. They don't have a right to have a consulate. Shut them all down. Send them all back to Europe. And all their employees that are Americans, they need to be held and questioned and charged for suspicion of sedition against the United States. And let the Attorney General Bondi investigate them in the FBI. All the Americans that work in these places, they all need to go onto a list and they all need to be investigated. All of them. Every single one. And send all the ambassadors and their foreign staffs back to their places where they belong. Order them out of the UN too. They don't have a right to be there. There's a lot he can do. I have a whole video about the UN.
If you make any peace deal without security guarantee, Russia will never respect its words, will never comply with its own commitment.
No, the peace deal without it will be us with Russia making a deal against Europe. That's what the table of the Big Seven is for. Donald Trump, President of the United States, His Majesty King Charles III of the United Kingdom, hopefully Friedrich Merz, Chancellor of Germany, hopefully Giorgia Meloni, Prime Minister of Italy, Vladimir Putin, President of the Russian Federation, Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of India, and President Xi Jinping of the People's Republic of China, to dictate to the rest of Europe what you're going to do. Not to talk about peace, to formulate orders, to tell them what to do. There's no more diplomacy left. So we'll see.
Commitments. So it's for us totally critical, and this is an essential part of any deal for Ukraine and for the Europeans. This is for our own security. So this is a very important progress of the past few days that the US now is willing to be part of this security guarantees. We worked with the Coalition of the Willing, which is co-chaired by UK and France, and we have a very clear view of the content of such a security guarantee.
So this is before Friedrich Merz is even in the Chancellor. This is while Olaf Scholz is leading a minority government. Friedrich Merz isn't in on this. Olaf Scholz was.
This pillar is the Ukrainian army. The first security guarantee for Ukraine and Europe is to have an important Ukrainian army, which will...
They already have French mercenaries in there. He already has the French Foreign Legion inside Ukraine. And other mercenaries that Europe is let travel through to get there. We know where they're from and who they are. Because they had to travel through Europe. There's records of all that. We know who they all are. Essentially, the only way in and out of there is through Poland. Basically. We know every plane that lands and takes off from there. Yeah, the Defense Department does. Because during Biden, they show pictures with inside the Pentagon. Secret rooms where they're monitoring every detail of what's going on the battlefield. Because at that point, they were providing intelligence to Zelensky, the murderer, and assisting him in it, I guess. There's a record of all that. From a room inside the Pentagon. They had CBS 60 Minutes or somebody come and they showed him the room inside the Pentagon where they were doing it during the Biden administration. Yeah, it's a reputable news place. Yeah, they got pressured. They had to show it. They said they're just providing intelligence. I don't know. That's pretty bad, ain't it? But that's Biden's responsibility, not the military's. Oh, there's a news thing about that, too. Zelensky arriving at the Pentagon. Oh, God, it's so disgusting what happened during Biden. It's just terrible. That's when Austin was the Secretary of Defense. Yeah, a civilian. Oh, wow. Our military people take orders and just do what they're ordered to do. By civilians. But there's a record of that, too.
Which will resist to any new aggression and which will create a deterrence effect vis-a-vis, the attempt to aggress Ukraine again. So we worked on the format of this army, and in fact, what we want is no limitation in terms of number of soldiers, ammunition, equipment, and so on. And who is ready to help the Ukrainians on what? Training, equipments, Patriot system, SAMT, new generation system, aircraft, and so on, to have this solid Ukrainian army.
To invade Russia, I guess, and attack them in a year more. Take over the world. By Moscow. Napoleon Bonaparte. Oh, God, it's so disgusting. What a madman.
Second pillar is to be sure that in the air, on sea, on land, we have a support from all the different key partners of the coalition of the willing to come and to support the Ukrainian forces. Not to be a substitute, and the obsession and the first priority is not to have more boots on the ground, but to be sure that we have regular operations which are a sort of guarantee or strategic signal that it's not just a piece of paper that the day they are attacked, we will be here. Because this piece of paper, we had it in the past. It was called the Budapest Agreement. And it didn't work. So
Eisenhower had a piece of paper on the 7th day of May, 1945, unconditional surrender of the Third Reich. That was meaningless. Yeah, what's Emmanuel going to say about that? He just said a piece of paper is meaningless. Well, this piece of paper was meaningless too. Well, that meaningless piece of paper is more important than his piece of paper.
we want to create a clear strategic signal of our support to the Ukrainian army. And some of the key people of the key countries, part of the coalition of the willing, already committed to do it. UK, France, Turkey, for instance, which has a very important role in the sea, and a series of other countries. So now, from tomorrow, we will start to work with the...
Where's the secret deals with the other countries now? The secret deals is the whole problem of Europe. It's all the secret deals. Transparency. So now he's going to have to give an answer. Well, who are the other countries, Emmanuel? We need to snatch him out, put him in jail, bring him to Brooklyn, and lock him up with Maduros. It's coming. Yeah, we're going to snatch you all up and lock you up in Europe. That's what's going to happen. It is. Or you're going to be bombed or shot or killed or something as an enemy combatant. Now you'll get your orders soon. From the Big Seven.
The US, all the members of the coalition of the willing, these 30 countries, from Canada to Japan, Australia, and a lot of Europeans.
All right. Wow. Japan, Another enemy of the United States, unconditional surrender. Good, let's find out. Now I can work on this. I can assemble all these people. I can, because it's all been publicly talked about. So I'll make up the new list, the new World War list. Who the people lined up behind Sturmer and Macron and Zelensky. I'll just put Japan on the list right now. Yeah, I'll put him right on the list. He said Japan. Good, I'll put her on. Yeah, she's been too threatening already to China. Don't like it. She got a little bit of space, but not too much. No, because it wasn't too long after an unconditional surrender of Japan after the 2 bombs that Japan was down in South Pacific terrorizing people, even after 1945. They didn't stop. No. So they didn't honor that either. No, they haven't. No. Despite their, quote, constitution of being defensive only. No, they were adventuresses after December 7th, after victory in Europe. No, they sent down and terrorized people and did bad things. They did. Yeah, they did. There's a record of it. Wouldn't surprise me if the Japanese weren't helping out in Vietnam. It wouldn't. I know China wasn't there. Wouldn't surprise me if the Japanese weren't. They're real good at torture. They're real good at it. They were really good at it. They have a really nice one. They'll string you up all close to the ground and plant bamboo underneath you and leave you stretched out, and the bamboo will grow so fast it just pushes right up through your body. Don't forget the death marches and everything that the Japanese did to Americans down there. Bridge over the River Kwai and all those horrible things they did, the death marches. We survived all that. We were by ourselves. I can't believe how calculating everybody in the world is. That they don't think there's not people in America who know what's going on. There are some, I guess. There's nobody as well as articulated as I do. I have it all developed into a whole new philosophy, everything. New terms, new everything. Yeah, but I don't really care about that. I'm not an academic or a propagandist.
In order to clearly go to the detail and say who is ready to do what. And this first phase is very important. And
oh, you better watch out. You better not cry. You better not shout, 'cause I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. Oh, you better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout, 'cause I'm a-telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town. Yeah, I see you. When you're sleeping, when you're awake, all your videos, all your plots, your schemes, your plans, the lies, all of it. All of it. Especially since May 7th, 1945. That's only 181 years. That's easy. I can go all the way back to 1652. When the Dutch went to Cape of Good Hope. I can roll it back that far if I want to. It's still the same story. But I just take it back to the Treaty of Ghent. December 24th, 1814. That's far enough for us as far as obligations, because that's His Britannic Majesty and us. It lays out everything for us. It does. But I can roll it back that far. Yeah. I already have a video about 1652 and the Dutch and Cape of Good Hope, what they did.
And should be finalized before the trilateral meeting, because these security guarantees are the one to put Ukraine in a situation to negotiate.
And I'm getting a wrap. Let me just ask you two very lightning round questions. As you have said, Russia is the aggressor here. And yet President Trump has talked about the possibility of land swaps. There are reports that President Putin wants to keep all of the territory that he's illegally occupied, and even more, the entire Donbass region. Is that a non-starter, and yet is the only solution for Ukraine to give some of the territory to Russia?
I don't see any swap in the proposal of the Russians, except a swap in comparison with what they wanted at the beginning. But let me be clear on territory. They got a lot of territories after the first phase of the war between February and summer 2022. But
Emmanuel Macron still has an empire. He's got countries in Africa that use his monetary system. He has a big base in Antarctica. He has other land. He's still running an imperial empire in the world today. Macron is. How dare he talk about land? And he's wanting to do a Napoleon Bonaparte and attack Moscow and leverage them to complete the French goal, I guess, of running Europe. If you all in Europe want to live under Caesar, Emperor Macron, go right ahead. But we're not going to allow it. 45 million Europeans came to this country between 1820 and 1920. They've already made a verdict against Europe. They were lucky and got out. 45 million people between 1820 and 1920. Europe's already voted. And the people of Europe said, this is a godforsaken place to live. And that's not changed.
Because the Ukrainian army and the Ukrainian people did organize themselves very impressively. Because we organized unprecedented support. They managed to push them back.
We, the French Foreign Legion, the mercenaries. There's a whole list of them online. I've already said that. All the mercenary young people from around the world who just went. There are people from America who went. I've seen the website. I've seen lists of the names of mercenaries who were killed in Ukraine. Who knows where their bodies are? I've already seen it online. 4 years ago. 3 years ago. Do I need to go find all that again? Make a video out of it? I probably already have a video about it.
At the end of the second semester of 2022. And if you take the situation between November 2022 and now, more than 1,000 days of war, the Russian army took less than 1% of the Ukrainian territory. So
that might be 1,000 days of war, but I've got 1,460 days plus one. Plus the days from November 7th, February 7th to today, watching the whole thing. Every day. Watching it as a witness. I guess you never thought about somebody like me, huh? Could exist in the United States. How unfortunate for you all.
So I want everybody listening to us and watching your program to be aware of the fact that the Russians, they are not performing well there. 3.5 years ago, they launched a special operations which was supposed to last 3 weeks. And during the past 1,000 days, they took less than 1% of the Ukrainian territory.
I'm going to tell you, there's no people better in the world with espionage and secret fighting and stuff than the Americans and the Russians. But the Russians are better at it than we are. It used to be all right, but after George H.W. Bush leaving office on noon, the 20th day of January, 1993, we haven't done any more of that. It's all gone now. But the Russian Federation, they're still real good at it. He has no idea what's going on. Not really. No, he doesn't. He doesn't have a way to know. How do you think I know to do? You know how many Russians have defected from the USSR, supposedly? Heck, Gorbachev himself ended up living over here in Manhattan after he left Russia. Are you kidding me? You know how many so-called dissidents have escaped Russia and come to the United States to so-called warn us about stuff? Oh, sure, warn us. Yeah, right. Whatever. Yeah, I've learned from the best. The best.
Territory. So all those who are saying, I mean, the Ukrainians are lost, they will lose, it's a total fake news. Now, when we speak about territory, this is to the Ukrainian president and the Ukrainian people to discuss about it. It's not my job. And it's absolutely unacceptable to have all the leaders discussing about that, and your president was very clear before.
I can't wait till he's wearing a jumpsuit with a bag over his head, irons on his ankles, handcuffed around his waist with his hands in front like I was in Palm Beach County. From Thanksgiving Day 2024 until Christmas Eve 2024.
Before Alaska as well. Why? Because it's about sovereignty. And third, the day we start accepting the recognition of territories being taken by force, this is just the end of international order.
Good. I guess he's not going to have a problem when the Big Seven says you got to give up all your foreign territories and remove your currency from Africa. And when we tell Europe you can't have the euro because you don't have a central bank, you have to use your own individual country currencies. I guess they're not going to complain about that either. When we devalue the euro, because it's not based on anything, it's a fiat currency. They just shut it down. The table of the seven. It's not fantasy thinking on my part.
How do you want us collectively to be credible in other places in Europe, in Africa? How do you want us to keep having debate on Taiwan? Do you believe one second if we recognize part of Donbass or Crimea or I don't know what, and you say,
oh! So he has an opinion on the one China policy, huh? He's a backer, the separatist of Taiwan, too. Of course he is. Chiang Kai-shek, Ho Chi Minh, Leopold II, the butcher of the Congo. Idi Amin, maybe. How many of the warring factions in Africa today is he backing financially? Keeping the butcher and slaughtering there going on. How many? I don't have time to look it all up. It's all open if you just look for it.
Say, okay, because this is, I don't know what, nuclear power, it's okay. There is no more international order. This is not compliant with the UN Charter. And the day after, our collective credibility, the US, Europeans, all these permanent members of the Security Council will be totally zero vis-à-vis all the others who think we are the guarants in last resort.
Security Council is ineffective anyway. He's one little old vote. He's insignificant sitting there. King Charles III is responsible for the vote of the United Kingdom on Security Council. Donald Trump's responsible for the United States. Xi Jinping is responsible for the vote for the People's Republic of China. And Vladimir Putin is responsible for the vote for the Russian Federation. King Charles, Donald Trump, Xi Jinping, and Vladimir Putin. That's 4 votes. He's insignificant. He doesn't matter. Nope. That's 4 yes votes. Let him vote nay. We don't even need the Security Council. It's ineffective anyway.
result of this international order.
I'm getting a wrap, but very last question in a few seconds. We are going to see this meeting between President Putin and President Zelensky. What is your level of optimism as we sit here today that they can break through this logjam?
Look, I think the optimism of your president is to be taken seriously. So, if he considers he can get a deal done, this is a great news, and we have to do whatever we can to have a great deal being fixed, concluded. But a great deal is a deal with security guarantees and a robust peace. As far as I'm concerned, when I look at the situation and the facts, I don't see President Putin really willing to get peace now.
Obviously, he endorses the interview.
I'm too pessimistic.
He posted it, embedded it in his official webpage.
I think it's very important to launch this process. I think it's very important.
So he can't claim it's mischaracterized because he has it on his own page. He endorses the interview.
I think we have to launch a process of this bilateral meeting, this trilateral meeting, and this multilateral meeting. But I think at a point of time, probably, we will have to increase the pressure on Russia to be sure they want peace. Because as long as President Putin and his people will consider they can win this war and get...
He just made it Putin and the people of the Russian Federation. He's against the people of Russia now. He'll do anything. Yeah. He said his people, meaning the people of the Russian Federation.
Get a better result by force. They will not negotiate. This is my feeling and my conviction. So it's important to remain
It's
united.
his conviction.
This is a key message.
It's his conviction that Putin and the people of the Russian Federation will never do anything unless they're forced to do it. Yeah, I guess Napoleon Bonaparte was really disappointed when he finally got to Moscow and the whole place was vacant. They had all left and went further east. I guess he's trying to avenge that. That's how calculating he is. He's evil. The transient winds of morality and suggestive morality and ethics. An enemy against freedom, democracy, freedom, justice, truth, and liberty.
Of the meeting today, to be lucid about the situation, to be committed, and we are. And I will do my best, and France will do its best to have a...
He just committed all the French people in his effort, and I believe they are. It's a contagion.
A positive bilateral...
There will be no there will be no rapprochement. Rapprochement. No rapprochement. There must be a cordon put around the containment. A cordon around the contagion. Cordon, that's a French word, meaning to circle in. A cordon around the contagion that is France. And the French people. And his leader. And the Prime Minister. And their government. Once and for all. Dispossess them of all foreign possessions. Dispossess the euro. Devalue it. It's fiat currency. And I don't know what they're going to do in France. They'll just have to take care of themselves somehow. They can't be liberated. They can't be helped. It's a special case. A cordon around the contagion. No rapprochement.
Bilateral and trilateral meeting and to deliver the results following these lines. As we are ready as well to step up sanctions and tariffs in order to increase the pressure. And I think it will be very important, in case of failure of such a process, that your president as well takes the baton and increase the pressure.
President Macron, thank you so very much for your time tonight.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it.
This is my pleasure, and thank you very much. It's an important issue, and if I may, just a final word. I think what's happening in Ukraine is extremely important for Ukrainian people, obviously.
Did you see him take his head? Take the baton! Take the baton and hit him on the head. Did you see his hand? The baton! Hit him on the head. Baton! Did you see it? Yeah, you saw it.
But for the whole security of Europe, because we speak about containing a nuclear power which decided just not to respect international borders anymore. And I think it's very important for your country, because it's a matter of credibility. The way we will behave in Ukraine will be a test for our collective credibility in the rest of the world. So this is why I'm here today. Thank you.
President Macron, I have many more questions, but I will leave it there because I want to respect your time.
Thank you.
We built this city. We built this city on rock and roll. Oh my God. What a wonderful day. Remember, he is Ho Chi Minh torturing Americans at the Hanoi Hilton in Hanoi. He is Napoleon Bonaparte. He is de Gaulle. He is who we already defeated in Morocco, who we defeated again on D-Day. He is responsible for mercenaries going into Ukraine and then through Canada and terrorizing Americans during Biden's administration. He's sitting in his embassy doing this. He couldn't wait till he got back to France, I guess. Who knows where he is? Who really cares? We'll find him. Ronnie-Ward from the Ditmas section of the Flatbush neighborhood, Brooklyn, in the city of New York, the state of New York, United States, and it is, it's 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday, the 24th day of February, 2026. 4 years. So for those of you who want to say the hostility started on the 24th, I'm with you. We're on the 24th now.